Thanks for stopping by Kimmoy's kitchen. Today we'll be doing a tutorial in how to section a whole chicken. There's no one way to cut a chicken, but there are certain techniques that are used to best achieve the different fabricated cuts suited for the different types of cooking. But before I take you into the cut, let's look at some safety tips to observe while doing so. Ensure that we have a very flat surface. Also, to keep your cutting board from moving while cutting, we can also place a damp rag or a piece of hand towel like you see I have here. This will also keep the cutting board steady in one place so it doesn't move side to side or easily move as if nothing was underneath. Also, what we need is a well-balanced blade, one that is sharp. If you don't have a sharp knife handy in the kitchen, what you can also do is just rub the knife against another knife to achieve some edge, which is the back of this knife. So we could do something like so. Pass it over the knife a couple times, and this will definitely give your knife some edge. So let's go into the cutting. So here I have a whole chicken. I'm going to show you how to achieve the different cuts. First, I'm going to start with the prime cuts, and then we'll go into the fabricated breakdown. Alright, so for me, cutting the chicken from the back ear is easier than cutting it from the front ear, which is along the line coming down between the two breasts. So I'm going to start by simply moving the tail of the chicken like so, and if you look closely you will see that there are like some meat here in the tail here. So what I'm going to attempt to do is cut right in between that, going down along the spinal column. Now this is where the sharp knife comes into play. So what you'll do is to ensure that you get a reasonably good grip on your chicken. You can turn it whichever way is best for you, but for me, turn it along the cutting board versus this way. I am able to place my knife directly between that meat area, the tail end, and then you're going to go with single strokes right along that column, spinal column, severing the bones. This bone area, it is not that tough or difficult to cut through, especially when you have a sharp knife. This is the first cut, and now I'm going to go through with the second cut, which is the breast area. As you see here, there's almost like a V between the two breasts. I'm going to be cutting directly along that line that goes between the two. If you look closely, you can see where it is that I do a pre-cut. I'm going to just cut along this line until I have two halves. Here we go. You have what I would refer to as the prime cut. So the prime cut will be like half a chicken. The half a chicken is oftentimes roast to not allow the chicken to dry out as quickly as it would often do if it was like smaller cuts. And you just clean up this and season it, and then place it bone side down on the grill or in your roasting pan if you're doing it in the oven. Alright, so let's continue with our fabricated cuts. So now I'm going to be cutting the chicken into what is known as leg and thigh, wing and breast, which is a quarter. Alright, let me just move this out of the way here. All right, so there are a few techniques that I use to best achieve this. All right, let me just put this back in the pan here. If you were supposed to put your hands along this area between the thigh and the breast, you'll find that there is a thin area right in there. That thin area is just a small amount of flesh, but more so covered by skin. So what you do is actually press down on that with the side of your hand and create an impression. Now that impression is where I'm going to be cutting along, because this here is the breast and the thigh along with the leg. So I would then cut along that area. The most resistance you will have is the spinal column, which is at the back. But once you sever that, pretty much the chicken will just come apart. And so here we have our leg and thigh, which is a quarter of the chicken. And then this is the breast quarter with the wing. Now there are also some other cuts in which we are going to now go into as to how to remove the wing from the breast. Now, one of the things that I want you to note is that the chicken has what is referred to as joints. And the easiest way to section your chicken is to cut directly between those joints. Joint of the leg with the thigh, and also the wing with the breast. So let's start with the breast piece. Now, you might not get this right at the first time, but barely or slightly cutting through the chicken, you probably will see that there is this connective tissue, which is a white grizzly-like piece in between the wing and the breast. Now that is your soft area. You're going to cut directly through that area, and therefore you will achieve total separation where the wing and the breast is joined. As you can see, that bright red area is that white grizzly piece that is then severed, because you won't be able to easily cut through the bone of the chicken. So you always try to find that soft area and cut directly through it. So once you are going to remove the wing, you can just slightly cut beneath the skin and then look for that joint area and just place your knife there and cut right through easily. Alright, so here we have it. This is your breast and this is your wing. Now let's do the same for the thigh and the leg. As I said, just cut below that skin and that flesh, and then what you can do is just use your finger to feel for the joining of the leg and the thigh. And there you go. Notice that white area there. Those are the soft tissue, which you would then cut through to get a different fabricated cuts. So here we have it. We have our thigh, leg, breast, and our wing. Now I'm going to take you into some additional fabrication on which we can break the chicken down into other small pieces, especially suited for stews like a brown stew or a curry, or even if you want to get what is referred to as chicken steak. That is mainly found in the breast piece. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to start with the fabrication of the breast, and I'm going to go through by showing you how to achieve getting the steak cut chicken steak cut from the breast area. You're probably only going to get about 2 or 3 pieces of steak from this piece of breast. I'm going to now show you where to start and where it ends. So this area is where I'm going to start cutting. Alright, so that is removed. And then here we have, see that? A steak-like shape. So I'm going to cut my first steak piece. And here we have it. That is your first chicken steak cut. So that's one piece. I'm going to see if I can get another piece. Here's the other piece, the steak cut. So one other important thing to note when cutting or sectioning chicken is to also try and keep the chicken as partially frozen as possible. When the chicken is totally thawed, for me, it creates a little bit more difficulty to do the different sectioning or fabrication of different parts. So when the chicken has a little bit frozenness to it, for lack of a better word, it gives you more control in cutting and fabricating the chicken into smaller pieces. Alright, so let's continue with our breakdown of the different pieces. Alright, so our wing, and our leg, and here we have our thigh. Now for smaller cuts, especially when doing our stews, we can always cut like the thigh into 4 pieces, which is going directly across that area, and then also that motion, which would then get 4 pieces. Alright, let's go ahead and do that. Alright. So we got 4 pieces from the thigh, and also 4 pieces from the breast area. So 1/2 of the chicken yields 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 pieces. These are all smaller cuts suited for your stews. Alright, so let's take you through the different cuts again by doing the other half. What you would want to do is create the impression. Highlight the difference between the thigh and the breast. And so I'm going to be cutting directly through this soft area, or area that I use my hand to create a path. And there we have it. Leg quarter and the breast quarter. Alright, so let's do the breakdown again. So you cut a bit below the skin area, try and identify the soft area of the wing, and then just cut through. Same thing with the leg and the thigh. Try and identify that soft tissue and then just cut right through. Get a clean separation of the leg and the thigh. Alright, let's do our steak cut again. And here we have it, our chicken steak. See, it has that shape of a steak. And then this other piece, which can further break down into smaller pieces. And here we have it. So a total of 20 pieces when you do the smaller fabricated cuts. Primary cuts are chicken as a whole, and then it breaks down into a half, and then you break that down into quarters, which is your leg and thigh, your leg, your thigh, and then your breast pieces and your wing. And there you have it. These are all the pieces that comes from a whole chicken. As I said, we can always break this down into smaller pieces. Likewise the leg, which we could then cut in two, and we create smaller pieces which will then yield a larger portion of chicken. So right here we have a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 pieces. But if we break these down, we then get an addition of 3 pieces. We'll make it 20 pieces. If we break this down into smaller, then we'll find ourselves with 22 pieces that comes from an entire chicken. And remember, you can always harvest your chicken fat and store in your freezer for later use. Thanks for watching, and tune in next time. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe.